Have you ever felt that shift? One day, she's laughing at your jokes, texting back in seconds, giving you that spark you can't fake. And the next, she's distant, cold, like you're invisible, like you are holding something beautiful in your hand. And suddenly, it slipped through your fingers. You check your phone more than you want to admit. You replay old messages, wondering where things went wrong. And worst of all, you're stuck in your head, trying to fix something you never broke. Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Wisdom. I'm Raul, and if any of that felt just a little too familiar, then this episode is for you. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when someone starts pulling away. Not just what to do, but how to flip the entire situation without chasing, without begging, without losing a single ounce of your dignity. Because here's the truth. When someone starts acting distant, you don't lean in, you lean back. Let me give you something to think about. Have you ever chased someone so hard that they started running even faster? It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more desperate you get, the further it flies. So let me ask you, are you chasing right now? Or are you choosing to stand still and let your presence do the talking? In this video, we're diving deep into 7 Stoic power moves that will help you reclaim your control, restore your sense of self, and make them feel the absence of what they once took for granted. No drama, no games, just raw, honest power. And it all starts with one truth. You are the prize. Let's begin. Before we get into the power moves, I need you to stop and look inward, because if you're here, chances are you're hurting, confused, obsessing over what you could have done differently. Let me ask you something real. Is it really them you're chasing? Or are you just trying to escape the discomfort of being alone? When someone we care about starts pulling away, our first instinct is to fix, to repair, to chase. But brother, that's not strength. That's reaction. And Stoicism doesn't teach you to react. It teaches you to respond with reason, with clarity. Epictetus said, "If you are pained by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Let that sink in. The pain you feel isn't because she stopped calling. It's because of what you told yourself that means. I'm not good enough. She must have found someone else. This always happens to me, but none of that is fact. It's interpretation. It's the story you're choosing to believe in your lowest state. So here's the question. What if this moment of distance, this silence, wasn't rejection? What if it was an invitation? An invitation to return to yourself, to rebuild, to become the kind of man who doesn't beg for attention, because he knows his worth. Not the guy checking his phone 20 times a day, not the guy wondering how he can win her back, but the guy who stands in the mirror and says, "I'm not chasing anything that isn't choosing me back." This isn't just about someone ghosting you. It's about what it reveals inside of you. That need to be seen, validated, chosen. But you don't need to be chosen. You need to remember that you've already been forged in fire. And fire doesn't beg to be admired. It burns, regardless of who's watching. So before we talk about them, let's talk about you. Who are you? Without the need to be pursued? Who are you? When no one's clapping? Because that's where real strength begins. Let's move forward. All right, let's begin. Power move number 1. Very. The desperation. I know. That word hits deep. Because let's be honest. When someone you care about starts pulling away, desperation is the first thing that creeps in. You feel it in your gut. That sinking sensation when the text doesn't come, when the energy shifts, when your instincts scream, fix it, reach out, do something. But here's what no one tells you. The moment you give in to that urge, the moment you act from panic, you give away all your power. Desperation is loud. It's messy. And trust me, they feel it. You might think you're hiding it behind just checking in texts or casual likes on their Instagram story. But they know, they can sense it. And the second they realize you're chasing, they stop valuing. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Let me ask you, what are your thoughts right now? Are they strong, rooted in clarity? Or are they spiraling into, what did I do wrong? Why aren't they responding? Should I try again? Desperation doesn't start with your actions. It starts with your thoughts. And if you don't grab the wheel, your emotions will steer you straight off a cliff. So what do? You bury the desperation, not by ignoring it, but by mastering it. You don't need to stop feeling desperate. You just need to stop acting on it. That's emotional discipline. That's stoic strength. Let's paint the picture. You're texting her. She replies slower. Then one word answers. Then silence. You feel that storm rising inside. Maybe I should double text. Maybe she didn't see it. Maybe she's just busy. But here's the truth. Desperation doesn't attract attention. It repels it. Imagine a salesman running after you in the mall, shouting deals you never asked for. You don't stop and say, "Wow, this guy must be amazing." You bolt. Same energy. When you chase, you turn into that guy, selling yourself to someone who already walked away. And here's the cold truth. That's not who you are. You are not a product on clearance. You are not here to prove you're worthy. Your worth is self-assigned. Music softens again, voice calm, grounding. So the next time your fingers reach for that phone, stop, breathe, ask yourself, am I doing this from strength or from fear? Then remind yourself, I am irresistible. Say it until you believe it. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop begging, when you stop showing up every time they ghost you, that's when the power shifts. Not in some manipulative way, but because you finally started honoring your own value. And nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't flinch in the face of silence. Desperation dies in discipline. Bury it, and let strength take its place. Now, let's move on to power move number 2. Now that you've buried the desperation, it's time to go quiet. Power move number 2, disappear into silence. I know what you're thinking. Raul, if I go silent, won't she forget me? Move on? Think I don't care? Let me stop you right there. No, she won't forget. She'll notice. In fact, she'll feel it more than any message you could ever send. Move on? Think I don't care? Let me stop you right there. No, she won't forget. She'll notice. In fact, she'll feel it more than any message you could ever send. Move on? Think I don't care? Let me stop you right there. No, she won't forget. She'll notice. In fact, she'll feel it more than any message you could ever send. You see, when you remove your energy, your voice, your presence, your reaction, you don't become invisible. You become mysterious. And mystery is magnetic. Let's break this down like men. When you chase, you blend into the background like white noise. Predictable, easy, always available. But when you go silent, they feel the void, that uncomfortable, unfamiliar emptiness, where your attention used to be. And in that silence, their mind starts to wander. Why isn't he texting me? Did I push him too far? Is he with someone else now? Wait, did I lose him? That's power, not manipulation, just presence through absence. Let me ask you something real. Why are you so afraid of silence? Why do you think your value comes from how loud, responsive, or available you are? Because it doesn't. Your value comes from what you bring into a space, and just as much from what they feel when you leave it. If she's acting cold, if she's ignoring your effort, then stop giving her effort. Pull back. Let her sit in her own silence. Let her hear the echo of what's missing when you're gone. That's when curiosity creeps in. That's when your absence becomes your voice. And let's be honest, you could send 10 paragraphs, pour your heart out, over-explain your worth, but it'll never land as hard as a sudden silence from a man who used to care. You don't need to shout. You don't need to explain. You just need to disappear. Strategically, you're not punishing anyone. You're preserving yourself. You're protecting your energy, your peace, and your standards. And in the process, you give them space to miss you, or prove they never deserved your presence to begin with. Either way, you win. So next time the urge hits, to text, to call, to check her stories, choose silence. Let her feel what it's like to not have access to you anymore. Because access to you is not a right, it's a privilege. Say it with me again. I am irresistible. Say it with certainty. Because when you disappear into silence, you stop being background noise, and you start becoming the echo that won't leave her mind. Now, let's take this further. Power move is where the transformation begins inside. You ready? Let's go.
So you've buried the desperation. You've disappeared into silence. Now it's time to shift the focus. From them, back to you. This is where most men fall off. They think pulling back means waiting. Waiting for her to notice. Waiting for her to come back. Wrong. Power move number
3. Forge the inner weapon. This isn't about playing mind games. This isn't about revenge. And it sure as hell isn't about hoping she'll text you first. It's about building unshakable self-worth that no one, not her, not anyone can touch. Let's keep it real. When she pulled away, you didn't just lose connection. You lost momentum. You lost focus. You lost yourself for a minute. And now, you get to take that back. You see, most guys think the weapon is words. The long text, the last call, the explanation. But the real weapon? It's built in silence, in solitude, in discomfort. It's your ability to grow while no one's watching, to sharpen your mind, discipline your emotions, rebuild your body, reignite your mission. Because the man who walks out of heartbreak with clarity and direction, that man becomes lethal. Marcus Aurelius said, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Let that echo through you. You can't control if she comes back. You can't control what she's thinking. But you can control what you do now. So what's your weapon? The gym? Your business? A new discipline? Waking up at 5 a.m. and moving like a man on a mission? Good. Do that. And every time your mind drifts back to her, every time the urge to check your phone kicks in, channel it. Fuel the fire. Use it to build, not beg. Because let me tell you something she will feel. She'll feel the shift. She'll notice when you're no longer stuck in her orbit, when your energy returns to yourself, when your progress becomes visible, even from a distance. Suddenly, you're not the man waiting by the phone. You're the man leveling up in silence. And that's the kind of man women remember. That's the kind of man everyone respects. This weapon isn't built overnight. It's forged through resistance, through discipline, through the daily decision to choose purpose over panic. So let me ask you, what are you building? While she's doubting. Because if the answer is nothing, then she's not the one who's losing. You are. So say it with me now. I am irresistible, because the man who doesn't chase, but builds, that man becomes undeniable. And by the time she realizes what she lost, you'll be too far ahead to care. Let's keep forging. On to power move 4. You've buried the desperation. You've disappeared into silence. You've started forging your inner weapon. Now it's time to turn the heat up without saying a word. Power move number 4. Summon the power of mystery. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you said absolutely nothing and still had the room thinking about you? That's the essence of mystery. And mystery is magnetic. See, most guys mess up here. They break this silence by oversharing. They post too much. They vent on socials. They try to prove they're okay, when the truth is they're bleeding inside. That's not strength. That's noise. And guess what? Predictability kills attraction. The more someone can predict your thoughts, your schedule, your every move, the less interesting you become. But when you pull back, hold your energy, and stop broadcasting your every emotion, suddenly, you become a riddle they can't solve. Let's paint the scene. She checks her phone. Nothing from you. She checks your socials. You're not posting like before, but when you do, it's subtle, purposeful, unbothered. Maybe it's a quiet gym pic, a moment of nature, a snapshot of progress, without context, without explanation. And in her mind, the questions start forming. Where is he? Why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on? Did I misjudge his worth? That tension? That confusion? That's the power of mystery working for you. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer emotionally available on demand. You've become intriguing. And let me be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's about self-respect. You're not playing games. You're just no longer handing out free access to your inner world. Because when someone starts treating you like an option, the most powerful thing you can do is become unreadable. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And in this case, you don't react. You evolve. quietly, powerfully. You move in silence and you let your mystery do the talking, because curiosity pulls harder than confrontation ever will. So, what do you do now? You scale back what you share. You stop explaining yourself. You let your next move be felt, not announced. And above all, you trust that when you hold something of value, you don't throw it all on the table. You let them earn the reveal. Say it with me. I am intriguing, not because you're hiding, but because you're selective. And the right people? They'll lean in. They'll want to know more. They'll feel the shift and realize you're no longer someone they can take for granted. Let the mystery build. Let the silence work. Let your energy speak for itself. And now, let's add the armor. Power move 5 is next. This one makes you untouchable. You've summoned the power of mystery. You've pulled back. You've stopped explaining. And now, you're in dangerous territory. Why? Because this is where emotions come to test you. The silence gets loud. The what ifs start creeping in. You start to wonder, did I make a mistake? Should I reach out? What if I lose her for good? And that's exactly why you need this move. Power move number 5. Embrace emotional armor. Let's get one thing straight. Emotional armor doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop leaking. It means you feel deeply. But you respond intentionally. Because here's what happens when you don't wear that armor. She ghosts you. And you spiral. She replies late. And you panic. She posts a story with another guy. And your chest caves in. You start questioning your worth. Measuring your confidence by the rhythm of her attention. That's not stoic. That's emotional exposure. And it makes you weak. Not because you're human, but because you're letting someone else control your weather. You wouldn't walk into a storm without a jacket. So why walk into emotional uncertainty without armor? Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's your shield. You don't control how she acts, but you always control how you respond. So here's how to wear that armor. She ignores your message? Don't double text. Don't overthink. Let it go. She seems distant? Don't analyze her every word. Don't start assuming worst case scenarios. Instead, ground yourself in this thought. If she wants me in her life, she'll act like it. Until then, I'm building. And when the emotions hit hard, when the old version of you wants to scream, to beg, to break down, you don't suppress the feeling. You acknowledge it. You sit with it, and then you choose not to act from it. Because that's what a stoic man does. He doesn't let every emotional gust throw him off course. He sails through the storm, not by fighting the waves, but by controlling the helm. Let me remind you of something powerful. You're not here to be emotionally accessible on demand. You're not here to be the emotional punching bag for someone who doesn't value your presence. You're here to lead, to stand tall, to guard your peace. And nothing, I mean nothing, is more attractive than a man who can stay centered. When everything around him is trying to pull him off balance, say it with me. I am untouchable. Because your value isn't up for debate. Your worth isn't defined by their attention. And your emotions are yours to command. This is emotional armor. and it separates the boys from the men. Now, ready to flip the whole dynamic? Power move 6 is next. And this one, you don't even need words. Let's move. You've armored up. Your emotions are no longer running the show. You've stopped chasing. You've gone quiet. You've started building. Now it's time for one of the most powerful moves in this entire strategy. Power move number 6. Flip the script without saying a word. Because here's what you need to understand. Words are cheap. And when someone's already tuned you out, talking louder doesn't change a thing. But your absence, your energy shift, your unapologetic focus on yourself, that changes everything. You see the old version of you was predictable. You reacted. You explained. You chased. You tried to make things right. But not anymore. Now, you flip the dynamic. You don't text. You don't beg. You don't explain. You move. Silently. Confidently. Inward. And when she expects you to reach out, you don't. When she checks her notifications, nothing from you. When she wonders what you're thinking, she gets silence. And movement. Suddenly, you're not orbiting around her. You've entered your own world. The gym, the grind, the discipline, the life she no longer gets to be front row for. And it rattles her. Not because you said something, but because you finally stopped saying anything. Here's a truth most men never understand. You don't change minds with paragraphs. You change minds by changing your pattern. When your emotional behavior no longer fits the script she wrote for you, you force her to rewrite the entire story. You become unpredictable, mysterious, respected. And maybe she doesn't come back. Maybe she does. That's not the point. The point is, you're not performing anymore. You're not playing a role in her play. You've become the lead in your own life. And that energy? That calm, unshakable, nothing to prove energy, that's what flips the script. Because now she's the one checking your feed. She's the one wondering what you're up to. She's the one asking herself, did I lose something real? And the best part? You didn't argue. You didn't beg. You didn't explain. You just evolved. Say it with me. I am in control. Because your silence is loud. Your actions speak. And your detachment is the message. You flipped the script. And now she has to decide if she can catch up to who you've become. You're not chasing. You're choosing. And that, my friend, is power. Now, you ready for the final step? Power move 7 takes all of this and puts you miles ahead. Let's finish strong.
You've done the work. You've buried the desperation. You've disappeared into silence. You've built inner strength. You've become a mystery. You've armored your emotions. You've flipped the script. Now comes the most powerful move of them all. Power move number 7. Let them chase shadows.
You're not chasing anymore. You're not explaining. You're not waiting. You've become unreachable, not in a cold or bitter way, but in the most stoic, unapologetically self-respecting way possible. You're no longer available at their convenience. You're not reacting to breadcrumbs. You're not lingering in their orbit, hoping they notice your glow. You've gone ghost, but not in the way they think. Because ghosts don't disappear, they haunt. You see what they're left with is the version of you they used to have access to, the version that used to respond right away, the version that used to try, the version that made them feel chosen without having to earn it. But that version? Gone. Now they're left chasing a memory, a shadow, a version of you that no longer exists. And every attempt they make to reconnect, every glance at your stories, every mutual friend update, it all leads to the same place. A man they can't reach, a man who moved on, a man who leveled up without them. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your soul? It's no longer tinted with obsession. It's not anxious. It's not waiting. It's focused, calm, untouchable. You've dyed your thoughts with purpose, discipline, power. And by doing that, you've become the man she didn't see coming. Let her chase shadows. Let her wonder what happened to the version of you she thought she had figured out. Let her sit with the silence, the mystery, the absence. And when she reaches for you, don't rush to answer. Don't drop what you've built just to feel noticed again. Because the man you've become doesn't shrink back into someone else's past. He moves forward, and if she can't keep up, she stays behind. So here's your final truth. You are not a placeholder. You are not an emotional doormat. You are not someone's safety net. You are the prize. Say it. Believe it. Own it. I am the prize. Because when they finally realize what they lost, they won't be chasing you. They'll be chasing the shadow of who you used to be. And by then, you'll be long gone, too far ahead, too focused, too strong. Congratulations, my friend. You didn't just survive the distance, you transcended it. Now let's bring it all home.
So let's recap. You stopped begging. You went silent. You focused inward. You became a mystery. You built your emotional armor. You flipped the dynamic. And in the end, you walked away with your head high, while they're still chasing the ghost of who you used to be. That
is how a man reclaims his power. Let me say this one last time. You are the prize. And from this moment forward, you act like it, not out of ego, not to prove anything, but because you finally understand. You were never meant to chase. You were meant to build, to lead, to command presence without saying a word. That's what Stoic power looks like.
So, what are you going to do now? Go back to your old patterns? Or step fully into the man you're becoming? Whatever you choose, just know, she's watching. They're watching. But more importantly, you're watching yourself. Make yourself proud. And if this video
Spoke to something deep in you, if it woke up the strength you forgot you had, then don't stop here. There's more. Right here on this channel, we drop weekly content to help you master your mind, detach with discipline, and live like the man you were born to be. So if you're ready to keep rising, subscribe to Stoic Wisdom now. Join the brotherhood. We don't chase approval. We build identity. One mindset shift at a time. I'm Raul. Stay grounded. Stay focused. And remember, you are irresistible. See you in the next one.